I just started this book and my flabbers are gassed. Okay, so I have a bit of a confession to make. I started the Dragon Reborn and I did not record an intro. I know, but I really wanted to start it and I got really into it. And then next thing I knew, I was like, oh, I didn't record an intro, but here we are. Hi, for those who've never met me. Welcome to the channel. My name is Alexis, Briana, and I am reading the entire Wheel of Time series for the very first time. I started as a TV show fan. I am now a huge book series fan, and I am officially on book 3. And I have so many thoughts, but I am going to save all of my spoiler-filled thoughts for the very end. We are going to read this book together. I will pause to give some reactions, spoiler-free, because I'm not ruining the book for anyone who has not read up until this point yet. So grab something to drink, grab something to eat, and let's start the Dragon Reborn together. Okay, so I know that I have not checked in at all while reading this book. I have just this book, I have so many thoughts. I have so many thoughts. I'm going to try to keep this spoiler free and quick. But I think what is so interesting, or one of the many things that is interesting about this book in comparison to just the other books, is how different the plot line, the approach, the tone, the pacing is from the previous books. So for me, it feels like the pacing is a lot slower, but there are like spurts of like action. There are definitely a lot of tense moments. The intensity is still there, but in terms of like action and big grand moments, it's very different, because I feel like with the second book, like we just came out with a bang. I mean, it was just boom, 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 boom. And then the first book was definitely more slow. So I feel like this one is a little bit of in the middle in terms of pacing. At least that's the vibe that I'm getting as of right now. And in terms of, I would say, even just the tone. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to describe this, but this kind of also goes into like the approach and how it's different than the previous books. In previous books, they all kind of started together. The big group was going on a united mission. They may have gotten separated along the way, intentional or not, and they had one big goal. Now, approaches may have been different. Challenges along the way were definitely different, but they kind of in general had a one bigger goal. Now, they may have attacked it in different ways. Either way it goes, they started together, may have gotten separated, came back together. This book, though, they have been on two entirely different journeys, missions, and quests. And the tone and the goal and just a lot is different. Let me just say that. Let me just umbrella term without getting into a lot. It is just different journeys. And I do think that there's a possibility that they will kind of like eventually somewhat come together. I'm thinking just based on what I just read. Now that I'm thinking about this, because I'm live processing it with you, I think that there is masterfully so maybe two threads that are the same, and there's probably more, but just two that come to mind that are the same in their journeys. And the first that comes to mind is uncertainty. They are both on very uncertain paths. I mean, they've been on uncertain paths in the other book, but I think it's even more prevalent in this, because I think what was pushing them for the most part was this one big goal, right? In the first two books. In this one, I mean, they kind of sort of have like a big goal, but that's not really the focus as of right now. Like, they're in more of a micro versus the macro focus of the end goal and the missions. Now, I think we're going to eventually get to like the big macro goal again that I think is going to bring both of their plot lines together. But yeah, I think, uncertainty. They are being tasked and challenged with things and having to make a lot of different decisions based on a whole lot of incomplete information. And really, I think seeing their decision-making process in this portion of the book post what happened in the other book and all of the trauma and all of the things that are associated with what happened, and seeing how their decision-making is very, very different than it would have been like pre all of what happened before, has been definitely enjoyable in terms of like character development and really just seeing where their characters are going. And also, because we are getting different POVs and we're getting more from different POVs, getting inside of their head and really understanding just their thought processes, and how they're coming to certain things, what they're thinking about certain things. And I think that getting more of the different POVs and the lack of another POV that we have pretty much been focused on in the previous books has been a really nice, refreshing departure to just to get something different. I've definitely been really enjoying the different POVs and perspectives that we're getting more of. Like, we got them before, but I think we're getting them in a more concentrated, we're getting them a little bit more concentrated versus previous books. What else? Oh, I think how each of the characters have stepped up in different ways has also been a pleasure to watch. Again, a part of just their story arc or their individual character arcs and things like that. What else? I feel like I'm missing a lot. I probably need to go to sleep at this point. I think that's all I got. I think that's all I can think of in this moment. I just so many things. Yeah, I think that is it. I am going to start winding down a little bit more. So I am going to get to a little bit of coloring. And then I think I'll probably be able to listen to at least 1 or 2 more chapters. I don't know how long they are. So I'm like, will I be able to listen to 1 chapter or 2? Oh, no, I probably will be able to listen to 2 chapters. So I may listen to 2 chapters and then we will just see where the story goes from there. like, oh, the pacing is moving a bit slow, but there are things happening. There's a lot of developments. Yeah, all I had to do was wait a couple of chapters. So much has happened the last couple of chapters. I am trying to wrap my mind around all of the revelations, the closure of some mini story arcs that have happened. Just the reappearance of people that I cannot stand. So many things. I'm going to give, I think, my spoiler-free thoughts around, where did I leave off of my thoughts? I think I left off at 16-ish. I don't know. I'm just going to give where I left off up until the chapter I just finished, chapter 23. And then once I can write some notes and just process my thoughts, I think I will come back for like a spoiler-filled conversation, because so many things. Okay, where do I even begin? I want to talk about, I can't talk about that, because I can't talk about that without giving its name. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay, so I think where I want to start in terms of the last couple of chapters are the cost of power. I think one of the things that we've seen throughout the book series, at least up until this point, and definitely in these last couple of chapters, is there is a weighty and heavy cost to power. And what that can do on the psyche, and what sacrifices can look like. And also sometimes you don't even know the full breadth of the sacrifices that you are making in order to obtain, maintain, or keep that sense of power. And really, too, connected to that is not just the cost of individual power, but that individual power that is connected to the institutional power that is kind of backing that individual power. Hopefully that makes sense. It's just, yeah, I think the last couple of chapters has revealed the power, instability, and even, well, you know what? Perceived and real power of the White Tower. I think there's a distinction that is being made, definitely in the last couple of chapters. Perceived versus real power, the cost of it, and really also seeing that there is a distinct difference between authority and power, and how authority flows, how power flows, and also this sense of, how do I say this, is having a lot of self-awareness of the environments that and the systems that you exist in, and determining what to say, when to say it, what to do, when to do, and the strategy that is needed to navigate this world. And I think, too, in the last couple of chapters connected to that, we have really seen just an expansion of knowledge around what the One Power is, how it works, how Tangrial's, hopefully I said that right, but how that is, like, we're growing more and more knowledge around that. And yes, we've learned a lot about the political, magical systems of this world, and it's just expanded so much. And really seeing it through the eyes of the group, and as they go on their journeys and experience new challenges, and how, again, they're faced with things that forever change them, because they are now also being exposed to things they previously did not know existed. And so just seeing that expansion of their knowledge while we're also experiencing it, and just, it's so deep and so, I don't know, rich. And yeah, it's been a really, really enjoyable book so far. What else? I'm trying to think of what I could say without it being a spoiler. Okay, so without going into specifics, I think that in the last couple of chapters, really the last, I think 2 or 3, really the last 2, the scene and what happened around just having to be forced. I mean, technically it's like you're accepting it. So it's not necessarily, I mean, you're accepting something that you really don't fully understand what you are accepting and agreeing to, But I think there is something really uniquely traumatic and cruel about having to face your deepest fears, your deepest desires, and having to make a really tough decision in the face of all of that. I think that, yes, I will just say that. I think that there is something very deeply just traumatic around having to face all of those things in very concentrated circumstances, and then having to basically make a decision whether or not, like, you know, you're faced with making a decision. Yes, I can't wait till we get into all of the spoiler filled thoughts, because my goodness today. Okay. I think that seeing how certain characters are being developed, and again, either finally accomplishing things or experiencing things we've been waiting on them to experience for the last 2 books, and finally being able to see that, but it's also at the same time a little bittersweet because of the not necessarily the fullness of being able to experience it without cost or without repercussions, or really, like, they finally experience those things, but there's a ripple effect. And I think too, sometimes I think this applies like in, real life is, you have these goals, you have these desires that you want to meet, and you realize once you get them, it's not always what you imagined it would be. Sometimes it's greater, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's, the same, but it's not necessarily exactly how you thought it would be. And being able to see that in the book has also been a good comparison. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop here. Yes, I don't want to stop, but I am. I am. All right. I am going to process my thoughts a little bit, get my thoughts organized so I'm not squirreling like I feel like I have been doing right now. And I will be back with all of my spoiler-filled thoughts. Okay, so I'm back, and I think I'm ready to talk about the last 23 chapters. I'm just like, there was a lot that was packed into these 23 chapters, especially the latter half, and I am just like, there's so many things that I want to talk about, but I know I can't talk about everything, and at this point, I know I talked about it earlier, but I really do think that I'm probably going to start a reading journal for this series, because there are just so many Easter eggs and like interconnected things and callbacks and just the mythology and there's just so much. There's so much. And I feel like I'm missing something or a couple of something. So I think I might end up having to do that. I feel like that's a lot. But at the same time, I'm like, I really don't feel like it's a lot. Let me know down below if you started a reading journal for this series, or if you have a reading journal or notes or something like that. Just let me know if I am not alone in this. Oh, before I keep going, because I really want to dive into all of my spoiler-filled thoughts. If you have not made it to this point in the book, I need you to go ahead, pause or click off, because I don't want you to say I ruined this part of the book for you. Or if you're just a person that doesn't like spoilers, just come back when you're ready. Come back when you're ready, because I do not want to ruin this for you, because I really feel like this series is like, it's getting even better. So I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds. Are we good? Are we good? Are we in a safe space? Okay, the first thing that I want to talk about is Rand's absence from this first part of the book. Maybe he'll come back. We got maybe like, I know for sure one POV. And then there was one other POV. I'm like, was that Rand or am I misremembering? I don't know. 1 or 2 POVs, they were very quick that we got from Rand. But other than that, he is significantly just absent from the book in terms of his POV. Now, we do get a little bit of the aftermath of his chaotic use of magic or whatever is going on with him. We do get that in the scene with the village and everything that happened, and so we see that, but we don't actually really see Rand or really experience, or we're not really living in his head for most of this portion of the book, which again is very different from the other books. And for me at least, it has been really refreshing. And I think the way that Mr. Jordan really, how can I say this? Introduced or led up to Rand's like basically leaving everybody behind was really natural, because we get this sense similar to like in season 1 when they did this is he really wanted to protect the people that he loves. Like if he's going to break the world, he doesn't want to hurt those that are around him. He just experienced the flicker memory situation that happened in the second book, and then he had that grand big battle. So there's a lot that has been happening and boiling to this point where okay, like it makes sense that he is leaving, and it's very much like Rand to make decisions for other people because he's like, I want to save y'all, but they're like, I'm riding with you, I want to be with you, but he's just like, I don't know, he's just, it's so Rand to want to protect the people, but also at the same time make the arrogant decision to make the decisions for them. It's just it's giving very Rand at this point. And I think too what is really interesting about Rand's absence in the book is a couple of things. It forces parents to step up in a position of leadership consistently. I think too it's a really risky decision that Mr. Jordan made, like to really depart from the what's the word, like the direction or like just the how he navigated the first two books to have such a main pivotal character really be missing for a really good chunk of the book. I mean, 23 chapters is nothing to sneeze at, and we've only really gotten his perspective in one chapter, a pinch of it, and then I think there might have been the second POV. I can't remember 100%, but that is not a lot in comparison to having it heavily be based off of his perspective and based on him and the storyline. And I just, yeah, it was really risky, but I think that it was like big risk, big reward because it does, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the word, but I have just really been enjoying getting the other perspectives that we've been getting. And I think the other thing that his absence creates, at least for me, is a sense of tension of like what is happening, where his thought process is, because we've been so in his head to now have that absence. It left me wondering, okay, where is he at? We see the chaos he's left behind in that village, but like where is he thinking? Like where is he going? What is his object? Like there's just so many questions around his absence. And yeah, it's just it's been a really interesting experience not having him so prevalent in the book. I think those were all of my notes around his absence. Yes. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is Perrin and that scene with the man who gave himself over to the wolf. I can't remember what the man's name was, but that whole scene was, man, I felt for parents so much. Just really having to not only wrestle with, you have to find your friend. You've been stepping into this, position of leadership in order to track him. Your friends are dispersed all over the world. You're concerned about Matt and has he been healed? And you're also still wrestling with your abilities to communicate with wolves, what that means, and all of the things that have just been happening around. There's been a lot happening for parents. So then to experience all of that and then really shockingly or like unexpectedly to basically be faced with a potentiality or a potential future and to see what it looks like to give yourself over too much to, your wolf instincts. And the man was basically essentially a wolf in human form, I guess you could say. Like he was no longer human. Like his body was human, but like him himself was not human. Like he was basically, yeah, he was a wolf in like human form. And I think it brought up a lot of questions for both myself and I think for parents too. If I could have put my questions onto Perrin, but it's just like I think it for me, it's like it was similar to the one power. Like if you get too close to the one power, you consume too much of the one power, then you burn yourself out. So it's like, okay, like how many times can you really tap into those wolf instincts? Or like, what is that line of demarcation where you transition from like human to like wolf and human like skin essentially? Like what is that? Like what is the tipping point? And is it him basically not accepting but like going into those instincts each time? Is he getting closer to that? It left a whole lot. And I just think even just him showing such empathy for the man, and just that whole sequence was just really deep. And I think each time now that he dips into those instincts or he communicates with the wolves, I think I'm be wondering like, okay, are we getting closer to that? Like what's gonna happen? So I think that whole scene is really pivotal in his story arc and his development. And I'm just really interested to see like where that storyline goes in terms of him and his communication. And even if we discover like what is that line of demarcation where you go from being human to basically being a wolf and giving yourself fully over to the wolf. So that was that whole scene was very intense for me. The next thing that I want to talk about is the Black Aja and the tower politics and power play of it all. Oh my gosh. This section, I was just like, so many things. Okay, so first, I think, where do I even begin? I think first, this part really solidifies that the Black Aja is not a myth. It's not like a dirty little secret. It's not this thing that the Aes Sedai don't want to talk about, and it's not a possibility because they have accepted the oaths and all of the things that they say. No, it is a real thing, and it is here, and it is not just one Aes Sedai sister that has turned herself over to the Dark One. No, there are 13 Aes Sedai sisters that are of varying levels of background, of varying levels of political power within the tower. And it's very widespread and very far reaching how the Black Aja have infiltrated the tower. And it also begs the question, like, are there other sisters that are a part of it that just didn't go with them? And it just really makes you question, like, like, who can we trust? Are we like, are you spying? And then two, I think what makes this even more mysterious is that scene where the girls had with that gray man, I believe. Yes, the gray man. And it's like, okay, who saved them? Who's following them? Like, was it a Black Aja that saved them? Was it someone else who was watching their back on behalf of the Amelin seat? Like, so many questions. And I think this part of the storyline does add a little bit of mystery and thrill to this like story. And it has just kept me a little bit on the edge of my seat because I'm just like, okay, what's going to happen next? Because it's like clearly, especially with the scenes with Celine, it's like the tower is not as safe as you thought it was. It's not as impenetrable as you thought it was from the reader's perspective, even though like the characters in the story don't know that Celine is in there, and even some of the Aes Sedai don't know that the gray man was in there because, all the secrets and the power plays and, you don't want everybody to know all of the things, but it's just like, even they don't know like that the tower is not as secure or safe as they think it is. And just seeing how this is going to play out and what is going to really just transpire in the tower. And man, I am looking forward to see what's going to happen in this tower. And the last thing that I will say around just the Black Aja and just this whole story arc, or this part of the story arc, is I think that Suyan, I think it's Suyan, the Amelin seat. I never could say her name correctly, but the Amelin seat's very brutal strategy in a way, or very cutthroat strategy to use the girls who are untrained. I mean, they do have a lot of untapped potential and the potential to be some of the greatest Aes Sedai in centuries and all of these things. And they have all of these gifts and talents that are just being discovered or haven't been discovered yet. I get all that, but to know that you are putting them against Aes Sedai who have had decades, years of training in honing their craft and honing the one power, and putting these girls up against them, I was like, baby, this is so cutthroat, because she knows that they're agreeing because they want to be a part of, saving the world, and they want to be a part of protecting Rand, and like they have, like, I don't know, a little bit of rose-colored glasses on of they know a little bit about the danger, but it's like, do they really know how much danger? And just, I can't say the S word, but like self-unaliving trip that they are potentially about to take themselves on. Like, there's a lot of potential for this to be, what do they call it? It's called the self-unaliving mission. I can't say the S word, but do you get what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those type of missions where you don't know if you're going to come back. And I think the going back to the scene with the gray man, I think that really somewhat helped them really see that, no, like, there are a whole lot of things that are lurking in the dark that potentially could take us out, but I still don't think that they know how dangerous of a mission that they have signed themselves up for. So yeah, that whole that whole sequence and this arc is just, it has me on the edge of my seat a little bit, but I do think that it is a nice, in terms of again, mixing up the story. I think that it is a nice add of just mixing up how the action plays and giving that really psychological, thrilling aspect to the story. So, the next thing that I do want to talk about is Matt's healing and really just Matt in general. This poor boy has been struggling for the last 2 books. He's basically been deteriorating and dying from the inside out because of just the taint of the Shador Lagoth dagger and all of those things. And it's like, boy, you finally healed and you still have not learned. You still have not learned. You're not thinking all of the things through. And it's just like classic Matt. He's trying to escape. He thinks that he has all of these plans and he's trying to do all these things. And it's like, you don't even have all of your memories, my good guy. Like, you still have holes in your memory and you're still trying to make all of these maneuvers and all of just, it's just like, oh my gosh, Matt, like, just, can you sit in your healing for a little bit? Can we hang out? No. Okay. All right. But I do think that his healing and just the whole process of it really left a lot of questions for me. It made me wonder, like, is he, oh my gosh. Okay. If you want to stay, you have to be quiet. But I literally in the middle of courting my good guy. I was talking about Matt. Yes, I'm talking about Matt. Can you pop a squat for a little bit? Can you pop a squat? What was I saying about Matt? Oh my gosh. What was I saying? Oh, okay. His process of healing. So before his healing, I think he was, I don't know if it's because he's of the old blood and all of that, but he was able to speak in the old tongue and like say, he would like shout out random things and like things like that. I don't think it was connected to the dagger. I think that was just maybe connected to the old blood, or maybe it's something within him that we don't know about because he has been tainted by, the dagger. But the healing and the healing process that he went through did something, because in that scene where he woke up and was experiencing all of those dreams, I'm like, okay, are those Manethran dreams? Are those dreams of the heroes that came from when he blew the horn? Like, what is happening here? And even some of the gaps that he has experienced in his memory of all of the things that have happened. And of course, Matt, he's making conclusions on half information or like not the full thing, and making half-baked plans. But I'm like, okay, was this because of the healing? Was this because of the dagger and its taint? And the ambulance seat alluded to like potentially them having to do the healing again, or like the healing not being complete because he was, infected, or yeah, we'll say infected. He was infected for such a long time. And so they really don't know, like, really has he completely healed or just all of the things, and they'll be able to tell after a certain amount of time. Man, that whole sequence of that, I'm just like, I got a whole lot of questions, sir. I have a whole lot of questions. Can you pop a squat, please? Can you find a comfortable spot? Thank you. The last thing that I will say about Matt and his healing was, that woman, Celine, and him not recognizing her and her playing all of her games. I'm like, what do you want with Matt? Like, what chess piece does he have to play? And whatever plans you have, for these kids, it just really called into question of like, what are you up to? What have you been doing? And so I can't stand that woman so much. It just, we will see what plan she has. The next, and I think the last thing that I want to talk about is Egwene and these dreamer abilities. Okay, I think that this is another section of the book that I need to revisit, because I know that she had been being tested to be a dreamer and all of the things, and then her accepted test went horribly wrong. And I think it happened. I'm wondering if it happened because she's a dreamer, or is it because of another untapped skill set that is within her that we don't know about. So I just think that this has the potential to really change a lot of different things. And also back to her accepted test, I'm like, just in comparison to what we know about Egwene's accepted test, because we didn't get a view into Elaine's, but hers was just very different from Egwene's. And I'm wondering if because she is a dreamer, or I'm assuming she's a dreamer just based on everything that they have been saying and like all of the things that have been happening. I need to go back to see if it's like been confirmed for real, if she's a dreamer. But I'm wondering if her accepted test wasn't really just a test, but it was a mix of like the dream world, or it was like maybe possibilities similar to the flicker scene that happened in the second book with Rand, of him flickering and seeing like so many iterations and possibilities. I'm wondering if the three, you know, tests that she had to go through, if those were like possibilities for her. I don't know. It left so many questions. This was another scene that I was just like, I think I had more questions than answers. And yes, I think I will just leave hers at that, because I think I have more questions than I have like, this is my thoughts on it. So yes, those were all of my thoughts on the last 23 chapters. It has been an interesting and wild ride, specifically the last ladder of the 23 chapters. I was not expecting it to ramp up the way that it did, but I have really been enjoying this book, and I am looking forward to seeing where it's going to go, because I am just releasing all of my expectations and what my thoughts and just what my theories are around it. But I'm definitely interested to know, what are some ahas or some nuggets that you noticed in the last 23 chapters? I know I did not even scratch the surface of all of the things that has happened in this section of the book. And if you've made it to this point in the video, welcome to the end of the video, crew. Be sure to put I don't know, is there a dragon icon? Put a dragon icon down in the comments section. And if there's not, put a book emoji down there, because I'm like not 100% sure if a dragon icon exists. But I always love to know who's hung out with me until the end of the video. And I really enjoy our conversations around this series. And I just love hearing your thoughts and what your perspectives and your analysis are. So be sure to drop those down below as well. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, like, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss a new video from me. Until the next time, happy reading. Bye, y'all.